Oh, so official. Good morning and happy July. I'm TJ Roberts with Silicon Valley Camp and PRMG, and I am co-hosting today for a great topic. How do we become visible on the internet? Sometimes I feel invisible in a lot of ways, and yet I get some really strange things that people found me for. And I'm looking forward to learn how to get found for the right stuff. But first, I want to introduce the board. So unfortunately, I haven't updated the photos because the new board takes effect July 1st. So I will have a new board update with everybody's photos, but I'm going to go ahead and share the ones that I have from previous and tell the board thank you. As most of you know, this is our previous board. I'm TJ Roberts, and I would love everybody if they could just click on, I know Jack's here, introduce himself, and Brian, if you, Deb, even share a little picture for a minute, or at least say hello. But everybody from the board, if you could just introduce yourself. Let's go ahead and start with Jack.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Jack Migosek with Direct Mortgage Funding. Actually, that needs to be updated there on the sheet too. We'll have to do that.
I'm on it.
It's all good. But I'm secretary and member of board of directors for a number of years, and always happy to help. Glad to be here.
Thanks, Jack. And Brian?
Brian Russell, Flag Star. We'll update that as well.
Yeah, I noticed that when I pulled it up.
Yeah. Past president and active board member. Just happy to be part of the group.
Thanks, Brian. Deb?
Hi, Deb Donahue, Citizens Bank these days, board member and membership.
All right. And I don't see any of our other board members, but they might be. Oh, there's Ruth.
Ruth.
And
Ruth is there.
Ruth, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Ruth Benjamin. I'm with Soon Debt Free, and I have just joined the board.
Yay,
Again.
welcome back.
Sure.
I appreciate you. All right, so our topic today is being visible, how to be visible on the internet. We're going to learn some good tricks. I already learned one, super excited about it. Vicky's going to share it when she starts. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. We're very lucky to have Vicky. I don't know about you, but I think we have a very changing market, and we have to kind of adapt. And especially with everything that happened with COVID and everything becoming virtual, the more tools that we can have, the better we can do our job, and the more people we can serve. So I'm really excited about Vicky's topic and how she can share with us. I know she works with a lot of realtors and helping them become visible. And we know some of our realtors are struggling right now. Take it away, Vicky.
Good morning, Vicki Christensen. Thanks for having me. My name is Vicki Christensen, and my company is Wellman Works, and I've been around for a long time. I've been in the industry in for I don't know, over 30 years. So I was I actually grew up in Fremont, so I'm well acquainted with the Bay Area. And I worked in the United Technologies, Lockheed, all those. And then I moved to the Bay Area. I mean, not from the Bay Area, to the foothills, and did some work up here, and then found myself in an engineering firm where, it was early enough in the game where they were like, well, we need somebody to manage our computers. And so, that was me. And so that was the beginning of the IT manager and all that. And so I managed a huge engineering firm for a decade, and then managed Western Area Power, which is, I was a consultant to them as a network engineer. They manage all the water and the dam and all that. And so then I stopped doing that because, hardware was, I could see where hardware was going. I didn't want to be schlepping equipment. So I went back to school and I studied business marketing and then married those two pieces of technology and information so that I could help small businesses, because we were also in business for ourselves as we had a couple companies. So I had to figure out how everybody showed up on the internet when you put in their business name. I'm like, how in the heck did they do that? So I unraveled and kept unraveling that puzzle, and I keep doing it today. And I try my goal is to make give small businesses and realtors the same opportunities that big companies, huge companies have, except at a reduced rate where everybody can afford it. So anyway, that's enough about me. And so how I did this thing today, where I'm like, what did TJ said? I'm inside myself. So you can buy software that says, oh, we do this. But you can also just use PowerPoint and Zoom. So Zoom, I went into the share the screen and then the advanced button. And it says, use your slides as a background. So you don't have to have a green screen or anything behind you. And then the people you're speaking to can actually see you. So I'll put those little notes up there later.
I think that's pretty cool. I don't know about you guys, but I do a lot of these Zoom meetings and I have a PowerPoint in there, and it's like, oh, do I look at the speaker? Do I look at the slide? This way you don't have to worry about it. Although I'm sure your head will pop up in weird places.
Well,
how your
there
slides
is
are
that.
set up.
I haven't. So this is a beta. And it's also beta on Zoom. So, you're going to have to cut me some slack there, right? So, gosh, in 2020, the whole online game became, front and center. Because everybody was on Zoom, everybody was home, everybody was looking at their computer. Nobody was doing networking events anymore. And so it became super important to have your online presence dialed in. And PricewaterhouseCoopers Emerging Trends said in real estate, they said, to be a winner in the next 5 years, you will need to be faster and smarter, and being digital is the key to being fast and smart. And the foundation of that good digital strategy is SEO. And I'll just demystify that in a minute. That gets your business found in search. Because even if you're a warm lead, even if you've been referred to somebody, and they go, yeah, this is the person, they just did this for me and this person, and they will, at least 80% will look you up, at least. And if they don't do it in the beginning, they'll do it sometime later. And you want to cut that off at the pass. You want to be in charge of that online presence because your online presence can get filled with information that you don't necessarily want. SEO, I mean, if you think of local search engine optimization, so who are we dealing with here? First of all, we're dealing with search engines, which is an algorithm. And then the client sees that information. So it's much easier to write stuff for a client, but it's also very easy to write it for the search engines. You just pay attention to the rules. You put what's true and what's factual and that they can corroborate, and you give them those tools to do that, then you're golden. So local SEO, think Google Business Profile up there on the right hand side when you search on Chrome, or Google Maps. That's local. Organic just means you haven't paid for that it is actually just showing up on its own, and both of those are highly trusted by Google. So what is that knowledge panel? So like I said, when you put in somebody's business name and a location, and on the right hand side of that search page, there's the knowledge panel right there. So those are factual to Google, and they will cross-check that with these over here, these business listings over here. So
and it's a very valid point. It was something that we did. We're using a Sochi, which is a social media system, and Google needs to verify you are at the address where you are before they'll even accept you as a page. And they do it via mail. And it looks like so if you get one of these when you're verifying you are who you are, especially if you had a name change or an email change or an address change, because those are the things that they're verifying, make sure that you know that you're going to get it via mail, and it actually looks like a sweepstakes winner because it gives you a little code that you have to enter to be valid with Google. So just keep an eye out for that to be validated.
Yeah, it takes about 5 days. Sometimes I'm lucky and I have gotten to do it by phone or text, but it's not consistent. So yeah, you should just bet that you're going to have to get a code on a piece of mail from Google and then input it to verify yourself. So what is internet marketing help? How can it help my clients land my brand? Well, if the search engines have confidence, then just consider how much confidence that your clients are going to have when they can find the same credible information on various business listings, top level. So you want these top level business listings to corroborate your information to Google so that they have that, then they have that credibility and authority. So then what happens once they have authority and credibility in your brand, that you are true? Because first of all, everything that comes into Google, they put into a bucket called spam. And then you get to prove that you're not. Trust me, I deal with there's a lot of spam out there. But so what happens when we finally make the connection with Google and that they're your best friends with Google, they will actually index your one piece of real estate on the internet that you own, which is your website. They will actually put it up in search. Yahoo! That's kind of what we want, you know? If everything else falls apart, like if you get in Facebook jail or Instagram locked out or whatever, you know, you're going to want your website to be able to stand true with your information. And then of course, in real estate, we want our Google profile to have curb appeal. So the three things that the acronym that Google goes by is EAT: expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So they go through all these algorithms to make sure that you have that. You know, a house, you might paint and clean the windows and clean up your client's credit report, you know, those types of things to create, you know, a good system and a good curb appeal. How we do it for your Google profile is we make sure that there's excellent images that explain who you are, a valid address, great phone number, and then there's a bunch of attributes and your hours. So we know in the real estate industry that we love to tell our clients, you know, we're there for you. Don't worry about it. We're there 24/7. But that's one of those things right off the bat that kind of causes Google to go, you know. So I suggest using business hours that match your other channels, like your website and your Facebook and your
My understanding is that if you have standard business hours, most of us are in the lending side or affiliated businesses, but most of them they do by appointment only or available on appointment for the weekends, and they try to keep with the typical banking hours. Some do say they're open Saturday from 12, but they'll check. So if you're saying you're open Saturday, then somebody better be there from 8 to 12 because they actually do double check those things.
That's right. You've had some experience with this, I can tell.
A little bit of experience with this stuff.
And so how do we use our Google profile to attract and engage? Well, first of all, it is the vehicle for reviews. And I know you've heard a million people that you've dealt with, or many people that you've dealt with. Well, I went to lunch here because of the reviews. I bought this because of the reviews. I blah, blah, blah. Well, these reviews actually carry about 15% weight in your ranking in the search. So, and there's a slide later about how many Google reviews to have, which I'm still working on. I'm not saying it's like a slam dunk, but I do have a couple of things to help make that easier. And that way you get to control what information's out there. So you'll get a review and then you respond to it, and you can even call, drop a good word for another business. Like, and I also worked with, and this was a great team. And so.
Are you going to talk a little bit about the different review services and if any of them are looked at more highly than others? Because
you mean third-party reviews?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be mentioned.
Awesome.
Not about who's higher, but just how they interact. Let's see. So this just gives you, these next few slides just give you an idea of what happens if you don't have one, if you don't have a Google business profile. I don't know if does everybody have one here? Anybody? No. Okay, good. All right. So this is what can happen. So this was a friend and client, and plumber, 3 decades in Cameron Park. Okay. I put in his business name and Cameron Park, and nothing came up. Okay. So I let him know about that. He's a little tough to get off the dime. He's old school. Actually, now it's like 40 years. But fine. So I searched again because I was going to try to explain this to him. So I searched, and so Google, what they want to do is they want to give you, they're trying to give you information that you're asking for. They're doing their best. And I put in Bella's Plumbing again, and they know that's in Cameron Park. So they look at proximity, and relevance to what I'm asking. So they give me Gold Star Plumbing because they're in Cameron Park. They've got one review. Okay, I didn't act on this. I just went straight back up and I searched again. Okay, this time they gave me D. Martel Plumbing Service in El Dorado Hills, which is close in proximity. And they had 30 something reviews, 38. So they're figuring, well, it must, this is close enough. And look at this is 38 reviews. This must be what you're looking for. So this is how the algorithm's thinking. So if you don't have a Google business profile, they in all likelihood will put somebody else up. I've had it happen. I have it happen all day, every day. So then finally I got him to put it up. Has he gotten any reviews? No. He's still very old school, but at least he has this is his Google business profile. And you can see he didn't want his address up because he works out of his home, which is common. And then we gave him a service area. You can see on the map there. It's probably a little bigger than he actually wants to go, but at least it wasn't like all of California. You want to be reasonable in your service area, what you tell Google that where you're willing to go. Oops. Okay, so we talked about, over 85% of people rely on reviews, and 97% say reviews influence their buying. So I just did a best real estate agent for the local area. This was some months ago. I have no idea if this is still relevant, but you can see that there's one open 24 hours, just like I talked about. But you can see the first one has 40 reviews. The second one has 22 reviews. So now these are in the real estate field. I didn't do a search for lenders, but we can, and we can see what the threshold is, but I imagine it's probably pretty decent. I would imagine that you would get mostly good reviews. It's possible that somebody would get irritated because they had a bad credit score and then they didn't get the loan and they might say something. Well, that's just an opportunity then to respond and to say, we have a lot of tools to take this to the next level and get you, what you need, get you that loan that you want and need. So when you respond, that goes a long way. And if it's somebody that just gives bad reviews, people know that, people can see that. So here's another one from Bright Local. 57% of consumers will only buy from a business with a 4+ star rating. I mean, people are so used to looking at reviews now. They use it as a gauge. They go, I don't know, he's got a bad review, I don't know if I should. And you haven't responded to it. So it's vital to respond. So you get a good review, you respond. You get a bad review, you respond. It happens. People have bad days. So this chart shows the average number of Google business reviews. So companies in the top 3 search results typically have an average of 47 Google reviews. And consumers expect a minimum of 40. Well, I guess it depends on which market you're in, and which age group you're serving. You're serving millennials and younger, absolutely. I would say this is probably very accurate. Here we are. This is the answer to your question about reviews from other. This is a partial answer to your question about other reviews from other websites. So Google does look at, in fact, they use it in their ranking, reviews from other websites. Like in this case, they pulled in realtor.com, Zillow, and well, we know, I've always seen them pull in Facebook. So they do look at these other venues. So if somebody leaves you a realtor.com or Zillow, that's great. But you can also ask them, if send them a review link and get them to put it on Google as well, if you can, if you're not overburdening them. Does that answer the question? Possibly. Okay, let me know.
I think it answers the question. I think a lot of us in the lending side probably have some survey systems that go out with closing on the loan.
Oh
reviews,
yeah.
and those types of services, as well as we none of us really like Yelp because they kind of hold you hostage and pretend like you have bad reviews when you don't.
Right.
But those types of things, how do you use those to the best of your ability if you get these customer surveys?
Those surveys that go out, and they're typically have code that goes to your website and posts them on your website. You can take those and make a post out of them, post to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We can put it up on Google, like as a post.
And that gives you more traction, right? Because that's considered validated.
It's another way, just another touch point for somebody to see that you've got good reviews. If they haven't gone to Google lately and looked you up, and they're on Facebook and they see your feed and they go, oh yeah, oh wow, look at that, or they're looking at pictures on Instagram and oh, there's a testimonial for you, that doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt at all. It's repurposing those survey reviews that you get.
So if you have a survey system and you're using that, the best thing you can do is post it to all of your social media. I know Brian's a Instagram user. I do a little bit in Facebook, but those types of things. But to utilize this service to give you that third-party validation piece, And then are you going to go through keywords at all too about bringing you up to the top of the search chain?
I don't know if that's in this presentation, but that's certainly part of your Google profile. Is the keywords that you want to get found for will be in your bio. When I run audits for people, I definitely look at keywords and how you're ranking. Like on a monthly basis, I do that, but I would do that on the front end for you. Does that answer that question?
Lily, did you have a question as well, sweetie? See if I can grab it here.
Hers was answered.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
So one of the things I posted in the chat was, if you want to see what the search engines see, you can go to scan.wellmanworks.com, and it'll just give you an idea of what your information looks like on some of the top level directories. You can see there's Google Maps and Facebook, and then these are all like the business listings which support Google. There's different groups of them that support Google. They're high level, but this just gives you an idea of a title company that see, somebody had been in that building before, and so they didn't bother to put the information out to the business listings and put their bio and their images out to overwrite what was there before. So when somebody might search them, they might come up with, Mickey Carson or a different phone number, and so whenever there's different information out there, it confuses the search engines, and then they go, yeah, I don't know, I'm not dealing with that. And so then the other question, when we've touched on this a little bit, do I need an address? No, you don't need an address. We need an address to get started, so you can get that card that TJ mentioned to verify your profile, but then we hide it, and it is like Fort Knox. I can't even get back in and to find it, and even though I created it. So you can't use a PO box, or you can't use a shared office space. Well, okay, so Regis, for example, right? Okay, there's some businesses that have space in Regis. This is the rules for Google. Just say, okay, if you have, like a receptionist or an office manager there during your posted business hours, we're good. And if there's some sort of signage out front. So it can happen. And I've seen it work. I've seen it not work.
Yeah, so for those of you lenders who had to do your FHA audit for your location, where they walk through and verify that you have signage and you have this and you have that, it's kind of like that by Google, the same type of thing to verify you are who you are. Make sure that you have your address correct, because if your address is incorrect, it is very difficult to change, and it can take a bit of work to do. It's one of those things like if you remember getting Apple Music back in the olden days, you had all of these little passwords you had to do. It's the only way, if you lost your password, how to get back in, and it's super hard. So
Right.
just know that you need to write it down and what you put your address as. And if you are in a rented space, or there's other businesses in that same space, suite numbers or unit numbers help differentiate that space as well. So be as specific as possible and not so generic.
Right. Yeah, Google's pretty famous for suspending profiles if you like change your address or change from a service area to a brick and mortar address. But there's some steps to take to get it back. It's just, like TJ's saying, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but we do it. The summary. Okay, so we want to capture our local SEO with Google Business and business listings and reviews. And business listings are nothing more than like Google, Facebook, Yelp, Apple Maps, Bing, Zillow, Nextdoor. And it will also help you get found on voice search, which is extremely prominent. And so what does Google say? Google says, since I know I'm in the middle here, I'm in the way. Google says prominence is based on information. So they want you to have a prominent profile. So they want it to be complete, that they want accurate business hours that match. They can verify that on your Facebook, your website, manage and respond to reviews, add photos. And so relevance, as we were talking about with the plumber, relevance, distance, and prominence. Prominence being information that Google can correlate, links, business directories, articles. And Google reviews, they count and they are in that score factor.
And along that lines, be very careful. Google rejects stock photo pics that you put in there as one of your pieces. I think it's on Instagram. It's one of the sources that you do pictures. When they see a stock one that has an ID of X, Y, and Z, you be very careful, because that will be disregarded as fake news. So it will not count for you. So real live shots of you in a meeting, real live shots of you with a client, or in front of a house or something, those types of things are going to be rated higher than a stock photo, which oftentimes is disregarded, even if the content is good. So be very careful of those stock purchased, grabbed photos.
Good information. I recently had a post that was thrown out for just that very reason. They're funny. They're a funny lot to work with, but we do our best. We just gather the most information we can and stay true to what they say on their sheets as what the rules are, and get along and become friends. So we did run it. Somebody ran a 115,000 locations to see if having the business listings would pump up the volume for your Google business profile. And yep, they found that just with 10, I usually do about 25, because I like to do some specific cities to get people noticed in their specific cities. But there was an 80% visibility improvement. And just by optimizing, by paying attention to all the different things you can optimize on your Google profile, 69% increase in web clicks. So now, if you
do you think you could take a peek and maybe show us what the Google profile setup looks like after you're done? I know you have a presentation here, but some people haven't even been in their Google profile to know how to make sure this information is accurate.
I sure can.
Okay, when you're done, I think it'd be helpful for some of us who are newer to this, visibility thing.
I'd love to. Okay. This slide is just an idea of what you can do, for the agents and brokers that you work with. And if they have events that are showcasing the houses that you're trying to put loans on, like open houses, share those events on your Facebook page. You can go to theirs and share it to yours. You can also tell them just to tag you, so that they get more exposure, you get more exposure. That's just the summary. And if you want to test it to see how you appear, we talked about this before we even went online. Go to a browser and go incognito. Jack asked this. The 3 dots on the upper right hand corner will put you into a incognito mode, which means it's more of a private mode. So it won't really remember all of the things that you have searched before. And just put in your business name and location and see what comes up. and then go to scan.wellmanworks.com, and you can see what the search engine see. And that is, there's my digital business card right here. This is a free app called Hi Hello. It's very cool. Somebody just, scans that with their phone and all my stuff comes up. My website, my Calendly, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever I put in there. And if you're inclined, I will be, for the first 5 people, if you want to get an internet presence audit, I would be more than happy to do that. And now let me go over here.
And while you're pulling that up, I would be interested to see if anybody wants to put in the chat if this is all new information for you, if this is something you're clueless about it, or you're like, okay, I understand these things, I've been told this and that. Because I think it's a lot like reverse mortgages. You may have a predisposed idea of how you become visible, and that may not be correct. So just putting those questions in here to see if those things make an impact would be really good. If this is making sense for you, it'd be really good for you to say, okay, I understand this is something I've already learned and now I'm adapting to. Those pieces I think would be really important for the group to learn for as well. Go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll pull those out. And any questions you have as well in the chat would be great.
These are very foundational tools, which then you build on. But you have to have the foundation first. Capture. Let's just do that. Oh, sorry. I was trying to give you my last slide. If I can, I don't know if I can attach. Can I attach something? My computer.
And making you add to your PowerPoint. You could just stop sharing screen and share what's on the other page too. That'll work.
Will do.
Yeah.
I will do that. Basic screen 2. Okay, here we go. Making me work here. Okay, did we do something? All right. Okay, do you guys, do you see anything? No.
Yeah, we see the business page that you're on there.
Oh,
Well,
you do?
works.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so you can see this is just a Chrome. I looked for my business, Wellman Works Limited, my address, and this is the knowledge panel that came up over here. And this right here is where you can edit your profile, where you can add hours and add an update. This is like you can add a post right here, which is really great. You can add events, you can add videos. So let's see if we go. See, I'm not, they are moving to this situation right here. I used to see right here, you can add managers, advanced settings, remove your profile. There's 3 dots right here. So let's see, I want to get to where usually I use business.google.com, but if I tell you that, well, I will, because if you have a profile, you should be able to edit it right in business.google.com. So you can edit it here. Here's your posts. They haven't gotten rid of this yet, and I don't know how long it's going to take. I hope a long time. This is where your info is. Okay, so you can see here my address. These are my categories, my hours. We just got little pencils right here. your appointment, so your booking page. I could add products, which I haven't. Oh, I better do that. So these are all my different services that you can add by just clicking on this. And then here's something, there's different categories for, you can identify as woman-owned, Latino-owned, a Black-owned business. They have very specific attributes there. Then this is your business information, your opening date. You can add photos down here. This is your insights. It's been saying it's moving for probably a whole bunch of years. These are your reviews, and it'll tell you if you've replied or not, which is helpful. Calls, messages. You can turn on messaging right here. And it will, on the front end, it will give you this. See this request a quote thing right here in the front? That's what this does, this messaging, which is good and bad. You have to be ready to respond because they keep track of that. So then when somebody says request a quote, they will put you up in line against other people, and they will say this person responds within 2 hours. This person took them 4 days. So it's a double-edged sword. So think about that before you want to add that messaging thing. Photos, you want to add as many photos as you can, and it's something I need to keep reminding myself. It's kind of like me being the plumber. You know, your plumbing never works when you're the plumber. But mine works, but there's always work to be done. And so every time I do this, I go, oh yeah, I need to do that. If you're gonna have users, see, I only have one. I should have more than one. Yep. Even if it's another email of mine. So does that help a little bit?
It does. It does. I think that's a very helpful thing to see. Has everybody been into this portion of their Google page maintenance?
So this is just business.google.com.
Yeah, you may not know it exists. I didn't
Right.
until I went through some training recently. There are so many layers, and I really appreciate Vicky's understanding of the computer side, of the algorithm side, because yes, we can talk about the sales side of have this and have this and have this, but the mechanics behind it, it's like what makes up a credit score, right? When we know what that is, we know how to direct people. I do have a question for you, Vicky.
Okay.
So Elsie has been using Google Business for reviews and a shared mailbox. But one client entered a review independent from the others, and now it hides all the other reviews. She doesn't know where they went. Do you think she can find that in her Google page and see if somehow
That's where I
they've
go
been used
first. If they were in Google to begin with.
Hi, TJ. Thank you for speaking up for me. Elsie here.
Can you explain it a little clearer, dear?
Yeah, so the reviews were working fine, and then we always give clients the same link to give us another review.
Right.
And this one client seems to have created a profile for us. So I can see all of the other reviews if I use the direct link, but if someone just go incognito and search for my company, that one review, her only review shows up. So anyway.
So somehow it's taken a priority.
This is what I'm hearing. Yeah. I'm hearing you have 2 Google profiles.
Yes, but how in the world did a client create one for me?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know they can do that on Yelp.
And I'm not a doctor, despite what you want to say.
And
Google tells you.
Okay, so that's what came up. That's right. But that's not you, right?
That's not me. Yeah.
No. So
that's okay. So I would TJ, thank you for bringing up that question. I think I'll search for Google to help on that. But I do have two other questions for Vicky. TJ, is this a good time?
Yes, go ahead, Elsie. Appreciate it.
Okay, so Vicky, the first question is, I don't want to do this myself. I've been there, done that. It changes too fast. So I want to hire a consultant to help me. But how do I tell if it's a good service and they're doing the things that really needs to be done? I've paid a lot of marketing dollars in the past, and it's so hard to track results. So how do I evaluate what's an appropriate service for a mortgage broker?
Experience, people that reviews, I mean, like people references that you can actually talk to, and then make your what you want to see. Like, so I have that request all of the time. I want to see how I'm doing. I want to see how I'm ranking. I want to be able to look at my reviews. In fact, I want to be able to respond to my reviews in a dashboard, whatever those wants are, and see if that person can give it to you.
So I'll give you a specific example. If I were to search for mortgage broker Milpitas, I think I'm on page 7 or page 8. I don't show up. So is it even conceivable for me to move up the ranking? Or is that an appropriate metric in hiring and determining the success of whoever we hire?
There's many things involved in getting you ranking in the 3-pack. We would want to look at your website. We would want to look at all of your social media channels and your bio for the keywords that can actually move you up. We would want to look to see what people are actually putting in. We would want to look at your Google Analytics now. We would want to look at your Google profile now to see what people are putting in. We would want to look at your competitors to see how they're ranking, what are they ranking for? So that's a comprehensive program, but it can be done for sure. It just depends on it, and it takes a little time. It's not something that's going to happen in 3 weeks. It could take, feasibly starting at 6 months. It takes time to get that credibility. And see, if I couldn't even find you by just putting your name in, we have some work to do. If I get a doctor first, that means, so we have some foundational work to do first before you start paying a bunch of money to do SEO to move you up in rank. You know what I'm saying?
So you would do that on my personal name instead of my company name?
No, well, it depends. I don't know what your company is.
Right. So I'm just curious.
Well, there's different scenarios. So what's your company?
It's Abundance 99 Inc.
Abundance?
Yeah, and my goal has been always to brand my company so that, 30 years from now, when I retire, I can sell the company. Abundance 99, yeah.
Oh, I put in your name wrong. Okay, well.
Yeah, see that, yeah.
So Abundance 99. Okay, so is this the one profile that has the one review?
No, none of these are. Well, yeah, sorry. This is the one profile that has a one review that's created by my client. I don't know how.
And what, okay, I'd have to find the other one.
Yeah.
So one thing that you can do, yeah, you want to promote your company, but you can also have a profile that says Abundance 99 Elsie Wu. And so then all the people that work in your company, Abundance 99 can have its own review link. Elsie Wu, Abundance 99, can have her review link. And it all lends credibility to Abundance 99. But then people can actually find you because they might remember you.
Right.
So it
And-
looks like on yours, you actually do have 5 reviews via Facebook, and you have only 1 review on the Google page. So it's not that the other have disappeared. The other
No.
are on there.
No, I actually have about 20 Google reviews.
Okay, they're not on your main page, but your main page is
They're-
not complete,
They're,
which is
yeah,
your first issue. When it's
Sorry,
not complete,
I don't
it's-
wanna-
Stars aren't here or anything.
I'm sorry. I don't want to take over the call with
No,
my
it's
personal
okay.
issues.
It's a
But
good
there, yeah, I
example.
do have if I go to the link that Google gives me, it shows me the other 20 reviews.
Okay, that's what we would do first. We would look at the
and-
actual URL of your original Google profile, and now we have this one, and we would just do an analysis and try to figure out, can we merge them? Can we, what can we do? Do we get rid of this one? Why is the other one not showing up? It's a process.
Yeah,
Right?
it is a process. And that's
Right.
why, definitely
So as we're coming up at the end of the hour, I want to it's very valid information. I think that one of the things I'm hoping some of you are a little bit like me that didn't even know some of this stuff existed, and that we have to be diligent about our reputations online, because as she was explaining, that's where people make their decisions from. So knowing what you need to do to maintain your digital reputation is super important. And Google, you know, they're everything today. They have gobbled up everything, and they seem to be where people drive to. So if you don't have your ins and outs on Google, I highly recommend, you know, she did offer the first 5 to get a little consult and do a little audit on it. You know, go ahead and put your email on in the chat now, and she can grab those and reach out to you afterwards. And I will also send her a list of everybody who attended so that she can reach out and see if she can be helpful for that. I think the information is super important for us to be able to grow as an industry and as a business. And I really appreciate, Vicki, that you could give us the nuts and bolts, because, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I hear a lot of hype out there. I rather know how to get it done and the steps I need to take to make a difference. And yeah, if you don't have the bandwidth for it and you don't want to spend the time to make sure that this profile and everything's consistent and it's matching up, hire somebody so that you can have your social platforms merged and get the most bang for your buck. It's super important, especially as our industry has changed. We're not doing as much brick and mortar. We're not doing as much face-to-face unless it's via Zoom. So I really appreciate Vicki on that. And I want to say thank you very much for coming out. I know you're going to be speaking live next Friday at Friday Connect for those of you who go to the real estate meeting. So looking forward to seeing you there as well. I do want to, anything you want to finish up with before I share our next topic?
I'm just open to any questions or help that you might need. I do this all day, every day, and now this one's got my interest, but you're all important to me. You know, if you have one Google Knowledge Panel business profile or not, that's what I'm here to do, so that you guys can go out and make people have, you know, their dream home and loans. So let me do all the technical awkward stuff. And I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because even though back in the 80s, I knew how to computer program, it doesn't quite count anymore. So I would like to share our upcoming topic. For those of you who don't know, it is summer camp time. And so this week in Southern California, there will be the convention starting on Sunday through, I believe, Wednesday or Tuesday night. So hope to see some of you down there for the convention. But I don't know about you, but the market has changed. And our next topic for the second Friday of the month is going to be, don't buy those leads, create them. For those of you who are a little bit older like me, sometimes these little canned programs that they give you, it doesn't tell you, and then they sell you this lead and they sold it to 200 other people. How do you differentiate yourself? You find the lead. We're going to give you some excellent tools. This is an amazing class. We're going to be giving you raw data from a title company search, but not like the ones that you typically see. This one has AVMs run, so it has what the value is expected as. It tells you a value range, tells you what their current principal balance is, tells you who their last loan was and the dates. Gives you a lot of information, including what type of loan type it is, if it was reverse or if it's a HELOC, or whatever they have on the property. So we're going to go through utilizing that, and I've combined it with a skip trace company. I know that sounds so devious, but it's a great topic because this skip trace company will take the imported Excel that you want to work with and the contacts that you want and scrub it for telephone numbers and emails for those people, and come back and you pay a fee for that piece. However, you only pay for the results, and they'll tell you if they're on the do not call list, so you don't get yourself into trouble as well, and you can respect someone's privacy, and it keeps you, honest and ready to go. So hopefully I'll be seeing you on that one on August 12th from 10 to 11. And again, it's going to be still via Zoom, but it's some great information. Any other comments or questions that anybody has?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you all. Let me stop my recording here. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. And I really would love to hear for more topics